Thank you very much, Nkiru Nwokedi. That was Nkiru Nwokedi's report on quick passage of the budget aiding implementation. Of course, the Senate the budget has already passed its second reading in the Senate. So we hope that the House of Representatives won't, will I say, be the clog in the wheel of progress for that budget. Well, looking at the fact that budget 2010 is not much different from budget 2009, according to economic analysts, we believe that the budget passage will be very, very quick. Now, to take a look at these issues, like I told you, in a way not yet discussed on any TV station in Nigeria or abroad, is TAOPHEEK Babayeju. You're welcome. He's an economic consultant and analyst.
Project management consultant.
Project management consultant. Okay. Welcome. Welcome very much. Welcome to Global Business.
Thanks for
and of course, TOPE is still here. TOPE FASUA economic analyst, you're still here talking with us on the budget. Let's start with you, TAOPHEEK. Let's look at the implementation. A while ago, we were talking about implementation of the budget, and you talked about the fact that we need to have a kind of mind twist on how we implement our budget or how we even see budgets. Yeah. Tell us about it.
It's amazing that over the years we've seen budgets as a normal ritual, as an operation, apart from being a project. Budgets all over the world is treated as a project. And why do you need a project? You bring a project to create a change in an environment. And what we've seen over the years, like I was looking at the submission of the experts saying that quick adoption will aid implementation. It will never aid implementation. I beg to disagree, because we're going to do the same thing that we've been doing all over again. We don't have an implementation framework. It's high time that we start looking at a budget as a change agent that's supposed to bring the necessary change to our infrastructures and measure it according to the yardstick.
I suppose that's what the Minister of Finance was talking about when he talked about the 3 months, the major 3 months and all that. He talked about it.
It's easier said that you're going to have this, but do you have the capacity to do it? We're talking about building human capacity, because we've had the same civil servants over the years, over the past 30, 40, 50 years, that don't implement the budget over the years. So what magic are they going to do over time? It's impossible. There's been this cry to have project management procedures across the MDAs. And I'm sure the national plan is doing something along that line.
Explain these project management procedures.
Okay, project management is a way of doing things to achieve your goal within budget, time, and specification. It used to be part of every management procedure, but it has come out to be a practice on its own. And this was evident in the UK. The Prince 2 methodology, which is now a global methodology now, was designed by the Office of Government Commerce in UK by civil servants. So it's not a global standard. Every one of us seek Prince 2 certification. In US, the PMI developed what they call Project Management Body of Knowledge. It's a structured way of doing things, and to make sure that budgets are implemented within specification, within time specification and within budgets. And what we have advocated over the years as project management professionals is to make sure that we have project implementation departments across MDAs, like we have procurement departments in MDAs, so that we have a yardstick, we have an ICT-driven framework that can measure the performance of the budgets. Now we've been talking about 30% implementation. What is the criteria to measure the 30%?
Exactly.
What is the criteria? What criteria was used to arrive at 30%?
Tope was giving us some measure of criteria. He was talking about using the oil sector, talking about oil sector being 20% of the GDP. And I mean, you can explain that.
Okay, what I was saying then was in terms of the growth of the economy and how you can begin to make what we're looking at the end of the day is, okay, we have a dearth of information, okay, in Nigeria, in Africa, wherever else, clearly. But so what we can begin to make is what they call intelligent guesses, right? And so someone comes and says, well, we're not the government, but the government comes and says, okay, the National Bureau of Statistics says there's inflation of 13%. You have to believe it or not. Okay, so if the MBS says this is what the inflation is. Now, the point now is, well, we're trying to put it to what they call a reasonability test. Say, okay, how reasonable is it? And the man on the street, does he believe it? First of all, do we have a problem with that? So in that regard, I was talking about the growth rates of the economy and say, okay, I also had to spend a bit of time to say, is the economy growing? Why would it have grown? And then you now begin to look at the sectors of the economy and say, well, what has changed? And I realized that the only thing that has changed, okay, over the period that information was given, growth rate of 7.5%, the only thing that had changed was the oil sector, which is a major sector of the economy. But from what TAOPHEEK is saying, is absolutely critical for us to be able to have, on what basis? I mean, of course, the basis in which people who complain about 30% implementation of budget would have found their own basis would be perhaps the amount of money that has been disbursed or utilized out of what was disbursed.
Somebody said,
I was listening to a House of Rep member talk about this yesterday. And I think he did on one of the other programs on AIT. And he did talk about some monies that had been disbursed, and due to one thing or the other, some approvals not gotten, those monies are there, even for the power sector. And I think we have too many of such. Now, on one hand, those who talk about 30% implementation, they're looking at how much, we've given 100 billion for this project. Only 30% has been, 30 billion has been disbursed. Therefore, that's 30% implementation. Fine. Yeah. But the truth is that if you go by TAOPHEEK's definition, that may not be 30% implementation. That may be much less than 30%.
No, listening to
in the first place,
Olokun, he talked about the fact of implementation, because we tend to misguide ourselves on what the issue of implementation is. Implementation, probably, according to him, is on capital expenditure.
Sure. Yeah, capex.
Not, I mean, you see it, it's tangible. But with the dearth of information all across the country, with the dearth of information, is there a true measurement, even with your project implementation or project management procedure?
There is no actual measurement. I realized National Planning Commission was trying to do something which is quite commendable. They call it National Project Management and Monitoring System, which will be deployed across MDAs so that you have like a project dashboard. But this won't be complete if done at the executive level, because the people charged with the monitoring and evaluation responsibilities, which are the legislators, don't even know what to look out for. Because at the end of the day, they put themselves in a bus on a flight, they go somewhere and go and physically monitor. But there's something when you're developing a project initiation document or a project charter, there's something they call customer expectation delivery. These are the yardstick that I'm going to use in measuring. This is my quality assurance mechanism. So the legislators as well needs to imbibe that project management procedures. So who is
in their oversight functions?
There should be a national project management office, like it's done elsewhere, that will be integrated with the executive's NPMS system, so that at every level you know that, okay, 50 billion naira was earmarked for Ore Road, and so was done even after the government, the present government has left. At a touch of button, you should know that so has been done. We have instances where you have duplication of budgets. You have maybe twice something was done last year and it was imputed in the budget of 2010 again. But when you have a computerized system, an ICT-driven framework for your implementation, you know that this thing has gotten to 30% implementation stage, but we don't have such. So you give out money does not mean this has been completed, and that is why we have white elephant projects, abandoned projects. At the end of every year, we should be able to evaluate. There should be an evaluation process.
Should this evaluation process just be at the end of every year, or probably quarterly?
Quarterly, yeah, but at the end of the year, we should know that, okay, because the executive sits down there and develop the budget. It's not supposed to be done like that. If you look at the project management structure, the executives and the legislators should sit down and plan for the nation. But it is the job of the executive to implement, and the job of the legislature to evaluate, to monitor and evaluate and control the system to ensure proper closure. But in Nigeria, projects are never closed. They are even if it is implemented, it is not closed, and we don't have lessons learned to be drawn from a past project. So it's high time we sit down as a nation and imbibe this culture of project management, which has helped so many nations. PMI has done so well for US and the whole America. Prince 2 has done so well for Europe. We don't need to duplicate these standards, but we need to bring them home and tailor it to our own need.
Tope, now he's brought a whole new dimension to the budget implementation process. And do you think with the present crop of civil servants, of legislatures, the present crop, do you think this is achievable in this country? Because this is IT driven. And we had a promotional exam for a lot of the directors into permanent secretary. A lot of them couldn't pass this exam because some of them just couldn't go into their emails.
Oh wow. Anyway, I mean, like, yeah, it's a totally different new paradigm, if you must say. However, I see it as something that must begin to happen. We may not be able to start 100% project implementation, project management perspective immediately. No, we can't. I don't see. There are too many factors that are going to militate against us. If you implement what TAOPHEEK has put on the table, clearly that's going to block a whole lot of corruption. And
probably we have new eggheads.
Yes, and of course, what do we do with the, but however, the point is that, of course, I think as much as we have defects in terms of education and exposure, all those things are learnable. And a few people can drive the process who have this knowledge. We have a lot of people abroad in UK, US who are project managers, fantastic people who can drive the process. A lot of people are also here in Nigeria like TAOPHEEK who are project managers, qualified and so on. I am not a qualified project manager, but what I do on a daily basis is project management. And I may not follow everything down to the letter in terms of, for example, project closing and all those kind of things. But what I do by way of managing my business on a daily basis is project management. If I run a transaction, I run a training, I run a consultancy, I'm managing it from the beginning. And however, I've learned from those around me who are project managers about how things should be done. I'm even beginning to think in terms of how we can begin to let the nation be run as a project itself. You can run Nigeria itself as a project.
Project Nigeria.
Okay? Yeah. Yes, Project Nigeria. And of course, some of the visions that have been put forward, the point is, yes, they're put forward. The thing is that if we use the project management approach towards it, then it really could work, The nation itself could be managed as a project. And I think there's also another concept called program management, in which case you're now managing several projects in order to achieve a certain goal.
And you now have portfolio management.
Essentially speaking.
So it grows from project management to program to portfolio management.
Exactly. So essentially speaking, it's an idea. They say an idea whose time has come cannot be stopped.
And probably project management for budget implementation.
Yes, absolutely.
Its time is now.
No, let it be that, okay, we begin to get 30% of these ideas on board. Okay, and next year we're looking at 40–50%. In 5 years' time, let every MDA in this country be at the top whatever level of project management, and this country will be on autopilot. It is true. I'm more of an economist, okay? I look at things from a people's perspective. They are looking at it from a more scientific perspective in terms of where we are and where we need to be.
But even looking at his own point of view is also a people's perspective, because they look at it, you evaluate, and probably the same question, yes, to Nigerians. Definitely. And let us know, how is it affecting your life? How is Budget 2010 affecting your life? The People's Parliament. Thank you very much, TAOPHEEK, for coming on Global Business.
My pleasure.
We cannot exhaust this topic, but I hope that somebody is listening and somebody will take over this idea or take off this idea and get in touch with us and let us know how to make Project Nigeria work.